Okay, we live now.
What's
All
going on?
right.
Welcome to the Bread and Hova Show. What's happening? Hova,
What's up? What's up?
what's
Yo,
going on,
yo.
man? Hey,
Hey, man, life is good.
hey, started from the bottom, now we here.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Started from the bottom,
Yeah,
now we
yeah.
here, man.
So
What's going on,
real
brother?
quick,
Yep.
yeah, man, everything's good, man. I mean, this is our first run on YouTube, and we trying out this platform for the first time. Bread and Over Show. For those of you who don't know, we started the show on YouTube. So we're gonna give this a try and see how it goes.
Yeah. We won't blog talk for what, about 2 years, maybe?
Yeah, about 2 years.
Yeah,
2 years.
2 years on blog talk. And we started we talk sports all the time. Me and Hova grew up together, so we talk sports all the time, and it would be a very long conversation. So so that's just kind of like, it's like we might as well just let everybody else, because whenever we start talking sports, everybody just jump in, and so we're just like, well, shoot, man, let's just go ahead and just broadcast this, and maybe everybody else will have the same impression, and then we'll just uh uh have everybody join our conversations and enjoy it like we do. We talk for hours, and so we want to give it a shot and see how it goes. We obviously we've been doing it for a couple of years, so we like it. So we're really just experimenting with different platforms, and so in experimenting with different. Send us a line on Facebook. We got a Facebook page too, and you can contact us on the Facebook page and Twitter. We're there also, and so here we are. Here we are, Hova. We here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yep. We are here, man, and and that's pretty much the big rundown, Brad. Like I said, for our for the listeners and all the new people that are watching the show for the first time tonight. You know, like Brad said, we've been doing the show for over 2 years now. And our original platform was on Blog Talk Radio, and so we wanted to see how it would be running the show on YouTube. So we wanted to try this out and give it a try. And like I said, this is our first time, and as we continue to move forward with it, we'll make some improvements with the live stream. And also, real quick, I want to give a quick shout out to our Facebook family out there, the Luxury Suite, the Falcons First and 10, and also the official Dirty Bird Nation.
What up, Mark?
So yeah, Brad. So yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, kind of give a little intro about the Bread and Hope Show, how it all came about.
yeah. Definitely. I mean, welcome to the show. We're glad y'all can join us, hang out with us for a few hours. We broadcast every Wednesday from 9 to 10:30 now, maybe Hova. We're
Yeah,
still playing around with the time a little bit, but 9 to 10:30 every Wednesday. So if you're new to the show or new to the Bread and Hova, it's a place where we like to focus on sports, primarily in the state of Georgia. We get around everywhere else though. But we like to talk about politics and entertainment and pretty much whatever's hot in the community. So you guys that are used to hearing us and have made your way over, welcome back. Thanks for hanging in there with us. And thanks for tuning in. We like to start the show off with a little rundown, and football is almost over. But we're gonna give a rundown in terms of we're gonna talk about the NFL. We're gonna talk about the Super Bowl. It's gonna be a Super Bowl review. The Pats and the Rams. Obviously, unless you've been up on the rock, the Pats won another one. So we'll be talking about the Super Bowl. We're gonna talk about Falcons cuts. There were some cuts today with the Falcons, and so we based in the ATL, so we're gonna talk a lot of hometown team talk, and we're gonna talk about the state of Atlanta And in the state of Georgia sports, what are the upsides? What is the declines? Or you call it even. So we're gonna talk about the Falcons, Hawks, Braves, Atlanta United, Bulldogs football in terms of it's the upside to these teams on the decline and need to rebuild, or is it kind of even? They kind of on pace, and so we want to talk about that. I thought it was pretty interesting. And me and Hova, we also boxing fans. We're getting into the MMA more and more, but we're really boxing fans also at heart. And so we always like to talk about boxing matches. We watch, it's always a fight every week. We just saw the Kovalev fight last week. And so we always like to review those and preview some of the big fights or the notable fights that are coming up. And so we got a chance. We talk about that Hey Man beer. But so that's the rundown, Hova. What you got?
Yeah, yeah, just like I said, man, this is our first time, doing it on YouTube, and without further ado, let's go ahead and chop it up. Let's get right into the talk, man.
Yeah, man. Like I said, unless you are hiding up on the rock, Pats beat the Rams 13-3. It's funny. We started the season, Hova, talking about the Rams, and we talked about the whole NFL. We talked about you remember we picked teams for each division, and we tried to pick teams for each division in which we thought we were going to win each division, and we were wrong about most of them except for two. And we had difference of opinion except for the Patriots and for the Rams. And so we kind of knew those guys were going to win their divisions and kind of go far. And so I'm going to give us credit, man, for calling those out, the two participants in the Super Bowl on the Bread and Hova show. And I think we did pretty good on that. I really thought that we were going to see a different kind of a game. I didn't expect such a defensive game. A lot of people say it was boring. 13-3, not a lot of points. It's because, look, NFL's got us conditioned to a lot of points. All the league, basketball has been doing it. Now NFL is doing it. And I'm hearing there's some rule changes in baseball, the way baseball is trying to speed the game up. And so all of these leagues and league owners want more scoring because you're trying to get millennials to kind of put the phone down and say, hey, I need to watch this. And it's interesting. And and so if you got more scoring, that keeps people watching and keeps people interested and want to spend money on watching your product. And so, but this type of a Super Bowl was kind of old school in a little bit. And now the Rams didn't help any. I mean, the Rams offense sucked on top of that. But I'll get to that a little bit later. But it was a defensive game, which I kind of appreciate. I think the Bill Belichick did a great job. And I think he did a great job in terms of dissecting his opponent. He always does that. I mean, but they did a great job in terms of dissecting the Rams and taking away what they really wanted to do, which was to establish the run. And I think on the other side of it, I think the Rams did a great job too. And in terms of New England had some plays here and there, but they turned Brady over. Brady didn't turn over the entire postseason. It's been a while since Brady been turned over in the postseason. So they turned him over. They also sacked him. First time he's been sacked in the postseason. So there are a lot of things that the Rams did. They put a lot of pressure on Tom Brady. And then they did a good job in stifling the run. And every time the Patriots tried to get on a little run, the Rams defense stiffened up on them. So I think the Rams defense, Wade Phillips is pretty much giving Tom Brady the toughest time he's pretty much had. If you check the stats and the history on defensive coordinators that have really given Tom Brady a tough time, Wade Phillips is probably number one or two. And I think that Pete Carroll's defensive coordinators got to be up there in the top five. And our own coach here, Coach Quinn, is one of them. Who usually gives them a tough time if he's got a healthy defense. So I think that both of those guys have done an excellent job in terms of having their defenses prepared for what was expected to be a high-power offensive display from both teams, because they really put a lot of points on the board throughout the year, especially the Rams. I mean, everybody was calling this the rebirth of the greatest show on turf, the rebirth, the baby guys. And they've been consistent through most of the year in terms of their offense. But I don't think that Gurley was healthy. That's the thing about the offense with the Rams. Kind of similar to the Falcons. I mean, if you can't run the ball, that's pretty much it. This quarterback's not going to put this team on his back and say, hey, I'm going to carry y'all across the goal line and I'm going to carry you to the promised land because that's what I can do. That's not going to happen. Jared Goff's not that kind of a quarterback. I think McVay is a very talented coach. I think he's an offensive mind. He's the right coach for that team, the right play caller for that team. But I just think that, shoot, man, I think that you need the running game. I think that Gurley is that special kind of running back. If he was healthy, that you probably would have gotten a different outcome in this game. CJ Anderson, I mean, yeah, he had a couple of games where he was effective. He had some significant runs and some significant games. But I think the Patriots were ready for that style of running back. So, I think they did their homework. But Gurley had broke one, but he broke one for 15, 20, 30 yards, however many it was. But I think that it was called. They called it back. It's holding. No wonder he got 30 yards because he was holding. And then there's another play. There was so many momentum killers in this game. I know that the refs for the most part called this game very tight, especially tight on the Rams. It was obvious that they were tight on the Rams because of that game with the Aints before. I mean, but nothing makes it, if you're an Ain't fan, nothing makes it right, for you. Game's over. Nothing makes it right. Game's over. You lost. Yeah, it was a blown call, but hey, it is what it is. There's a lot of blown calls in life, and you don't get a do-over. You just got to move forward, and I hope that next time you do better because there were still opportunities to win the game. So you fast forward, and the refs definitely got the message that look, we're gonna call this game tight, and we don't want to miss any calls in this game. But I think because of that, I think that had a little something to do with it because players come to the game, they're a little bit uneasy, and I mean, it's Super Bowl. It's the biggest game of your life, biggest game of the year. So players going to come out cold or nervous. Then on top of that, you can't get loose because the refs are calling a tight game. So, I think there were a lot of factors at play here. But I think that, with Bill Belichick was just like, hey, as long as we can kick field goals all day, I can do that. I just don't want this offense to get off. So I just think they did an excellent job in terms of shutting down the run. Gurley was not healthy. It was obvious that he was not. And once you take the run away, and plus, they didn't have the number one receiver playing. He's been out for an entire year. So, what I mean? They just had to make do, not to make any excuses for the Rams, but, they were exposed. The stage was too big for the quarterback. They knew exactly who he was, and they were not afraid of his passing ability if they made him one-dimensional. And he could not make them play. He tried to make some plays at near the end of the game, but even with that, they applied pressure on him. I think Hightower, man, that should have been the MVP. But I think Hightower put the right amount of pressure on him, man, all day. And he was a factor. Hightower comes through in big games. And so, with that being said, man, 13-3. For a lot of people, not pretty, but I thought it was a well defensively played game. I thought, you playing defense. That's what we doing now. Okay, that's refreshing in today's game, defense. So I just thought that it was a great display of defense. It was old school football for the most part. You had to run the ball, even though they were trading, even though they were stopping it or slowing it down. I just think they did a great job, man. I just think both sides of the ball. I think Ndamukong Suh made some key plays in the hole. He applied pressure. He stopped a few runs, and Brady just happened to hit 2 darts the entire game. So if you're running like 60-something odd plays a game, and 2 pass plays that would that he had thrown a beat or a real long pass to Edelman, and then he had that nice pass to Gronk. When it was really double or triple covered. So, you got to give them credit for making plays when they needed to because they were not making a whole lot of plays. There were a lot of 3-and-outs on their side too. So, Champs made plays, and then when you get to the goal line, wasn't no passing at the goal line. Their offensive line blocked. So the Falcons can take some notes to where, hey, you at the goal line, y'all need to block and get this man in the end zone. It's
Right,
real
right.
simple. None of that fancy. Well, let's throw a little fade right to Julio, or let's do a little whoopsie doo and cutie pie moves on the man. Please, you better run that ball down their throat, man. I swear you need to. So that's what they did, and that was the ball game for the most part, And so, in a nutshell, I mean, hey, until we find any evidence of a gate, until the gate comes down, I mean, it's like the Pats. There's always some controversy with the Super Bowl win, and so it's like you got to hold your breath for the next 2 weeks or so just to make sure some kind of gate doesn't come out, because somebody definitely looking for this gate. Well, dope gate, some kind of gate where something didn't seem right for a Patriots Super Bowl win. So they win 6, man. I mean, in this day and
Yeah,
time, in this era, they are the team to beat, and they are obviously beyond a shadow of a doubt in this era of football. They are the greatest team in this era of football. As much as I hate to admit it,
yeah,
hate Boston, hate everything about Boston. But it is what it is, man. I'm just talking football, man. I mean, they are the best team. If not, then your team had some within a 10-year time span. I think they played pretty much every team in the football league, and so your team had a chance to beat them when it counted, and apparently most of us did not. you know, Eagles lost the Super Bowl, but they came back and won one. So, and there's no way that you're gonna see the Patriots, lose back-to-back Super Bowls. I mean, it just seems unreal for them to lose back-to-back Super Bowls or win back-to-back Super Bowls. That's just how it's been. But it is what it is, Hover. I mean, they're the best team in the game today, and you just got to give props to them for being a great team. A
yeah,
great coach and quarterback combination is very key.
yeah. I agree with everything you said, Brad. I think that the Super Bowl. Here's the thing about the Super Bowl is that it's so expensive to attend the Super Bowl it was so expensive to attend in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
real quick before I even really get into talking about the game itself, I want to just give a real big shout out to Atlanta, the mayor of Atlanta,
Oh yeah,
and just
definitely.
everybody
Yeah.
in general. I mean, they
Yeah.
really
Good looking
made
out. Yeah.
the whole event. They made the whole event just absolutely wonderful.
It's great.
I think everybody who came to Atlanta, they got the Southern
It was a win.
hospitality.
Yes.
So right then and there, Atlanta was, as far as I'm concerned, definitely one in that category.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And you're right, Hove. It was a win for the city. I think the NFL went out there and said that, hey, this was great. Atlanta did a great job. To all the officials, there was a Super Bowl committee that did an excellent job in terms of planning, putting things on. There were things going on all week. Jermaine Dupri, everybody, and it wasn't just rap. They had country, rap, rock, pop. They had R&B, old school, new school. So it was something going on in Atlanta every night. In terms of events, there was obviously the NFL experience.
yeah,
You go down there to the convention center, and it was great. As many people that came down, it was never like really crowded in terms of uncomfortably crowded. There's a lot of people, but it wasn't uncomfortable. So Atlanta did a great job in terms of having the stadium open every day, having convention center open every day, and there were a lot of things going on. And people get flavor of Atlanta, of downtown, and you can walk to a lot of places. The what is it, Centennial Park? There was an outdoor park. There were a lot of free concerts. There are a lot of artists here in Atlanta, and there were
yeah,
a lot of free concerts that people took advantage of. So Marta was great, didn't break down. So, so most people took Marta, and Marta, our transit system here in Atlanta, and it was great. A lot of people did a lot of walking. You didn't have to Uber. So, but I think it was great. The bars took advantage of it, and Atlanta put on. I mean, the strip clubs was on point. It was on high. I didn't go to any, but,
right.
from what I understand, I mean, they flying them in. They were flying them
Yeah,
in all
yeah,
week. You know,
Yeah,
and so there was not a dull day in a booty club in the A at all. So good looking out, Hope. I think Mel Bottoms in her first term did an excellent year. Did an excellent job in her first year for the Super Bowl. I know Kasim Reed and his team, along with Arthur Blank, worked hard and tirelessly to put on a great presentation to win this award years ago. To say, hey, we're gonna have a new stadium. We're gonna have a lot of purpose-built facilities around the station to get things done. So, good looking out, Hope, because I was going to look all over. But that's the main thing that we had the Super Bowl
yeah,
here in the A, and the city won. But
yeah, definitely, definitely, man. But I mean, but but getting back, to some of the analysis about just the game in general, um, it was a defensive battle, and most times, when you get those defensive battles, I mean, not a lot of not a lot of people gonna like that type of game, but but as I always said, Brett, when you have a defensive type of game, that's always going to be the type. I mean, defense wins championships, and I think that was proven in the Super Bowl here in Atlanta. Um, I will say that Sean McVay got out coach. The Rams head coach,
true.
he just got out coach. Um, and I really thought if the Rams could not get a running game going with Todd Gurley, that more likely they probably wasn't going to win. They had to establish some type of running game,
True that.
and the running game was non-existent. So, and you and I know, I mean, we watched the game and we knew Jared Goff. I mean, he looked like straight doo doo. I
Yeah.
mean, he didn't.
Look familiar
Uh,
to me, but I ain't gonna call no names. We keep going. He look familiar to me, but go
I
ahead.
mean, he couldn't get past. I mean, that coverage. I mean, basically, the Patriots didn't do anything special. I mean, they just played man to man and did a lot of
No.
different stunts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you said it best. Belichick gave him the quarterback, the young quarterback test. Can you
Yep.
pass? Can you pass the test?
Get the
And he
litmus
did not.
test. Yep.
Yeah, and
Litmus
and he
test didn't
didn't.
pass.
He didn't pass. He
Didn't
got an
pass.
F. He didn't get a. He didn't get a C. He didn't
Yeah.
get a D.
He flunked
He
that
got
exam. He did.
he got he got an F.
He flunked that
So
exam.
and so
Yeah, he
and
did.
so and so with that being said,
Like an open book
that
test. He flunked an open book test. The reason I call it open book test is because the Patriots scored 13 points. How in the hell do you lose against a team that scores 13 points? 13.
well, the defense played well enough to win.
Sound like, man,
It
it
just
sound like
it just the offense stopped the bed. You know what I'm saying? The offense could not. I mean, let's look at it like this. I
sound like the
mean,
Falcons to me.
at halftime it was 3-3. So, well, they may have had a chance. We like, okay, second half the Ram may have had a chance. Um, but nothing. I mean, they just could not get any type of inconsistency with the offense. So, um, it is what it is with that. I think the Patriots, they played to win and they won. So, but it's not really a whole lot of highlight that I can really say related to the game simply because it was low scoring and it was a defensive game.
Right.
Um, Maybe probably the only big highlight that I could see is Sony Michelle. I was so happy that
Yeah. Go
well, we had
dogs.
Sony Michelle and we had two Georgia Bulldogs, running backs,
Go
Todd
dogs.
Gurley and Sony Michelle. So yeah, man, I was more happy than anything with Sony Michelle, man. I mean, he scored the only touchdown in the game.
Go dogs.
So go dogs, man.
And that's everything right there, man. I mean, the guy's been through a lot. He's been through some injuries. Went to Georgia, and he had to sit out. And he was third string, the second string, worked his way to first string, came back his senior year and played his butt off. Got to a national championship, almost there, not quite heartbreak, and to come back in the same place that you experienced heartbreak to win the big one. So national You know, NCAA national championship is a big deal, but it ain't the Super Bowl. It ain't the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is the granddaddy. It's the big papa of them all. It's the big boy, and Sony Michel got it. He's got to be happy as I don't know what, man. And like you say, Hova, you hit the nail on the head. The man scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. You know, he contributed to the win, and he made some key runs and some key plays throughout the Super Bowl. So I am so happy for Sony Michel. I don't know what to do, man. So I'm real happy about that. So good stuff, man. Congrats to the Pats, man. You know, hey, Rams go back to the drawing board. See what they can do next year. You know, Aaron Donald, he did what he could. You know, he showed up, showed out, but you know, you got to win. Our offense got to help you out. You know, we talk about this all the time with Falcons, man. And every time you say something like, man, the defense played well enough to win. Man, if I had $1 for every time I said that about the Falcons, you know, I probably wouldn't be here talking to y'all now. I probably be in L.A. living it up in Hollywood somewhere, you know, somewhere. So, yeah, you know, and you talk about same thing with the Falcons of about, you know, if we can't run the ball, we can't win. If you got to rely on Matt Ryan's arm to win this thing all for a season, you might as well pack it up. And that's pretty much what happened to the Falcons all year, is that you relied on Matt Ryan's arm because Freeman was out, Tevin Coleman ain't that dude, and Ito Smith the rookie. So you ain't got no running game. Plus, a lot of your offensive linemen got hurt also. You know, they were okay. They weren't the best of offensive linemen, but we didn't have any depth on offensive line. So when you can't run the ball, when the Falcons can't run the ball, we can't win. I know that. I don't know about any other team in the NFL, but I know when we can't run the ball, we can't win. So
yeah.
and you look at teams like the Patriots, and it's running back by everything's like by committee, running back by committee. You know, and they're not paying guys. They don't have a real big high payroll. They really don't have payroll problems. You know, and Belichick, you know, he's the coach, de facto GM. The guy understands that, look, I have a template for personnel. I know the kind of guys I want in terms of IQ, athleticism, and discipline. And he's used that formula time and time again. And you see that a lot of the coaches that come from Belichick's tree are not as successful as he is, or you know, are not successful at all. Look at Matt Patricia and all these other guys that come out there, and what's big boy that coached Notre Dame, Charlie Weiss, you know, all these guys. I think Romeo is a great defensive coordinator. I don't think he's a good head coach, but I think Romeo Crennel is a pretty good defensive coordinator, though. But yeah, I that's just what you got, man. You know, and so Belichick's the secret. You know, he knows what buttons to push for Tom Brady, and it works. You know, so he's the mad scientist. It is what it is, man. So Brady, man, you think Brady's the GOAT? I mean, everybody's calling Brady the GOAT. You know, the greatest of all times, Tom Brady. He's the greatest quarterback, the greatest player. He's got 6 rings. Let's compare him to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had 6 rings. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold your horses.
I don't know. Well, I'm gonna put it like this. I'll put it like this. Brady, I guess you can say he's the GOAT simply because, I mean, he's been to the Super Bowl so many times and he got 6 rings. So
Robert Ory got 6, 7 rings. Is he the greatest player? Well, Michael Jordan, because he got about 6 rings.
Well, but we're talking about a different sport, though.
I'm just saying, I mean, if we want a ring check,
we talking about. I mean, well, okay. So you want to put it to the point of rings? Okay. Well, let's look at it. I'm gonna say in his position, because Tom Brady been the quarterback, right? So with him being in that position, you kind of got to say who else is a caliber quarterback like Tom Brady, or close to it.
I mean,
who else you can think that?
I mean, I think Pat Mahomes is young, but I think he's the greatest quarterback in the league. I think Pat Mahomes is the ball. That dude is awesome.
But Pat don't have 6 rings though, right?
He don't have. Well, he ain't even. Shoot, Pat Mahomes ain't been in the ring. He ain't been in the league 6 years. So he still right. He ain't been. He almost beat Brady. He came a bad play away from beating the guy. So and he scored on
Yeah,
that defense. And so I mean, it's still too soon to tell about Pat. But I think Pat Mahomes looks good. I think that you always have to look at Aaron Rodgers, even though he's getting a little bit long in the tooth. Didn't have a lot of help around him. New coach coming up, but I think that Aaron Rodgers is just good. I think that Russell Wilson is very, very good. I mean, just think of if they played their cards right. Russell Wilson had 2 or 3 Super Bowl rings by now, halfway through, and then he's not even done yet. So I
yeah.
think when you look at quarterbacks like that, Russell Wilson, or you look at I'm not going. When you say elite, you shouldn't be talking about no more than about 3 or 4 quarterbacks or 3 or 4 players.
Yeah,
Period. That's
yeah,
it. Elite ain't 10. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah. That's
Elite,
true.
we
But
look. You
we
got
can't.
32 teams, 32 quarterbacks, and a third of them cannot be elite.
But here's the thing. I mean, we can't play all these woulda, coulda, shouldas. I heard about Russell Wilson and all that. The
Right.
bottom line is Tom Brady getting it done, man. That's just the bottom line. Um,
He,
I mean, there's no other quarterback in the NFL at this time, at this point in time, has has even come close to what he's achieved up until now. Probably, maybe, even if I had to think about the only quarterback I can think that maybe come close to that. Hmm, I don't know. That's a hard one, man. That's a real hard one.
look, man.
If you were,
I think that in terms, if you want to talk about stats and records and NFL records and that kind of thing, because I think Tom Brady had how many did he have, like 45, 50 touchdown year or something one year, something like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
something ridiculous. He had one of those, but but all time touchdown leaders, man, he ain't it. Career wise, I think that once you want to talk about individual stats and great quarterbacks, I mean, he's not better than Drew Brees. If you want to take it there,
right.
Drew Brees don't have the rings. He will not get the rings. But nobody can tell me. I'm just talking football. And I'm a Falcon fan. I hate the Aints, but I'm just talking football. Tom Brady, career wise, is not a better quarterback than Drew Brees because I mean, there's opportunity there. As good as Sean Payton and Drew Brees are as a tandem, but there are a lot of things about the Aints to where no, he's not gonna get 6 rings or even 2 rings because a lot of those times that Drew Brees played, he played a lot. Majority of his seasons was 79 seasons or worse because they never had a consistent defense that did anything, or they never had an offensive line that could block. And then they did before Kamara, they really didn't have a consistent running game that was doing something. Then it was always something that got in the way of these guys. And then the past 2 years, look at them. You played, they looked good last year, but they played the Vikings and they end up getting heartbroken last year. And last play of the game on a fluke play, and then you turn around this year and you have a controversial call and you can't win at home. So it's like it's always something with them. But Drew Brees gonna be Drew Brees. And for me, what I'm getting at, I think it's more so. I think it's the Belichick thing. Now, I think Belichick is everything. I think that if he does not have Tom Brady, he would know how to find the type of quarterback, a Garoppolo or somebody, to say, hey, I can win chips with this quarterback. Don't nobody else see it in him, but I see it in him. And I'm going to set it up to where he can win. My offensive line going to block. Running back by committee, I'm going to keep some fresh legs back there. But defense, yeah, ain't great, but I'm gonna have a strong linebacker, a nice little defensive end. It's like we ain't giving up big plays. We don't do that. We putting pressure on the quarterback when we need to. High IQ players. This is all about Bill Belichick for me, more so than Tom Brady. I think that I still think that Bill Belichick can win 6 rings if he's got the right quarterback that's not named Brady. Other than Tom Brady coming to Atlanta for his entire career talking about winning. Tom Brady don't win 6 rings in Atlanta without Bill Belichick. That's just my example of why I think Belichick, that is more on Belichick than Tom Brady. Now Tom Brady's a good quarterback. Look, I ain't saying the man suck. I mean, he wins games. He makes plays. He makes big plays, key plays, because they keep him protected. You know, he
Right.
don't run. You know, he just, he a traditional pocket passer. You know, kind of like Drew, kind of like not Drew, but kind of like Matt Ryan and Philip Rivers. You know,
Yeah.
traditional pocket passes, they ain't going nowhere. You know, if you can keep them clean, maybe they can get you something done. But Atlanta, teams like Atlanta, San Diego Chargers, I'm sorry, LA Chargers have not been able to have complete teams. They don't have a running back by committee. They don't have great offensive lines that work together to keep these guys clean for 4 quarters, 16 games, 17 weeks of the year. They don't have those kind of things built around them to get the maximum effort out of their players, man. They don't have the great coaching. They don't have the quarterback coach kind of thing the way Bill Belichick and Brady got. They don't have that. They don't have the general manager. They get really the right kind of players to kind of work and develop this system and architect this. They don't have it's so many moving parts. You can have an engine, but everything ain't gonna move like a Ferrari. You can have a lot of sports cars, but everything ain't gonna move like a Ferrari. You know, you can have a lot of luxury cars, but everything ain't gonna feel like a Maybach. You know, so that's the difference, man. It's the devil is in the details. The devil is very much in the details, and so that's just me about what Brady. Look, if anybody want to say Brady's the greatest quarterback in our time,
Yeah.
okay, he ain't my pick, but he probably top three. He probably top three for me because he, like you say, he wins. And for me, it's not just the 6 rings because he really didn't have an outstanding Super Bowl on Sunday. He did not. He wasn't outstanding at all. He made key plays at key times when they needed him, but he didn't throw a touchdown pass in that game. He did not. He just didn't. You know, and a lot of the plays. If you look at how they win, a lot of the plays, a lot of the games, a lot of Super Bowls that they have won. You look at the other Super Bowl champions, man, like Dallas. Dallas win by 28, 30 points. You know, San Francisco won Super Bowl by 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. You know, those are dominant teams, man. You know, 95 Cowboys, dominant team, man. 94
So what you
49ers. And
so
so
what you trying to so what you saying that they just lucky? Is that what you
I ain't saying they
saying,
lucky.
Brad? You saying that a lot of this Super Bowl win is just luck? I
Well,
mean,
sometimes you do need a little luck now. Sometimes you do. Sometimes, but they have never been. They have never. I don't think they've ever won a Super Bowl in dominant fashion. I can't remember them winning a. I mean, they won the majority of them by field goals. You know, they won a majority of them by field goals. I don't know if you can call it luck. I guess you do need a little luck in your favor, a couple calls in your favor. But you beat the Rams. Well, that was Spygate, but you won that by a field goal. You won one again. You know, you won the one against Carolina by a field goal. You know, 3 points or something, 4 points or something like that. When you beat Philly, that was a field goal involved with that one. The Giants had your number, so you lost to the Giants twice, so they had your number. You know, and so you come back. The Falcons choked that one away. So you know and if you look at the Patriots, don't do really anything special. They just do what they do, and you really have to do a great job in coaching. You really have to do a good job in doing
well,
what you do.
well, the thing about the Patriots is that they don't shoot themselves in the foot. You know,
They don't.
they pretty much play for the most part mistake-free football. And you know, when you play that type of game, you increase your chances of winning. You know, more than likely you're going to win the game.
How do you do
And
that? How do you play mistake-free football for 4 quarters? Not relatively mistake-free football for 4 quarters for 16 games out of the year. Well, including postseason, 19 games out of the year, 19, 20 games out of the year. How do
well,
you do
well,
that?
let's look at it like this. More than likely, I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna be mistake free throughout the season, but for the most part, when anybody, whenever their opponent goes up against the New England Patriots, they gotta come with it, man. The team played disciplined football, and it kind of just rubs off from the coach, the head coach. I
Yep.
mean, Bill Belichick, the head coach, he demands that. He demands that his players play mistake-free football because he knows that's going to give them the best chance to win. I mean, they're not the most. If you look at the team, if you look at the team on paper, they're not the most. Nothing really stands out to say, hey, other than what Tom Brady and Gronk and maybe Julian Edelman, but nobody really sticks out on paper to say, wow, they look like world beaters. It's just that
True.
they know how to play. They know how to play mistake-free football, and they know how to get it done. Even on the defensive side, I mean, can you name one damn defensive player on the defensive side? I mean,
Other than Hightower and Flowers, nope.
other than that, we don't. I mean, I'm like you. I don't know. I don't know who.
Other
So
than Hightower and Flowers, man, because Hightower come through all the time in big games, and especially in Super Bowls. And Flowers,
yeah, yeah,
he was making big plays too. But you're right, man. I mean, gone are the days of Vrabel and all those guys, Ty Law. They don't even
yeah,
have those
yeah.
guys anymore. Rodney
Right.
Harrison, they don't even have those guys anymore, man. But they have the twins, and they look, man. I that's why I say, man, for them to do it with different units, it's Bill Belichick, and they don't always have a top 10 defense either. Not even sure their defense in the regular season was not even. I don't even think they were top 20. They're in the bottom half, bottom third of the league. But when postseason came around, they tightened up. they, everybody tightened up in postseason. But yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of it is Bill Belichick, and like you say, he has disciplined teams. I think part of his formula is having disciplined players. You got to be disciplined, extremely disciplined, in order to play mistake-free football, because there's always something that happens. Oh, he was offside at a critical time. In big moments, big times, they practice this all throughout the year. There's situational times, situational moments, and it's situational football. I think that he also has personnel that are great in situational football that are able to execute. And that takes a high level of skill from your GM to really just evaluate players and evaluate IQ of players. We ain't just talking about physical ability. We ain't, because they ain't never the most athletic guys, but they have guys that are, that are smart players, high IQs, but they're disciplined players and they execute. And it's like you think back at the Falcons Super Bowl against the Patriots. Critical time, we at 22-yard line. Julio just made a fantastic catch on tight defense. Next thing you know, you get doggone Jake Matthews get called for offsides. That's a 10-yard penalty. That stuff does not happen to the Patriots. I'm going to stop right there.
Yeah,
That kind of stuff
yeah.
does not happen to the Patriots. 10 yard, you're at the 22-yard line. Before the quarterback can even hike the ball, you jumping off sides. Why? That does not happen to them in the fourth quarter. Couple of minutes to go in the game, and you jump off sides, and now instead of the 22, you back at the 32. Man, if that was the Patriots, Belichick would have yanked his ass. It's like that stuff just not happen. He don't pick
But
them
see,
kind of
that's
players.
that's a good example. That's a good example of what I was talking about. Discipline. You know, um, you don't shoot yourselves in the foot. You just don't, and that's one of the things they don't do. They don't do that. Not often they don't do that. But real quick, Brett, I know we've kind of touched really the topic for the tonight being the review of the Super Bowl, and so for all the our listeners and viewers that are viewing the show tonight, um, want to thank you guys. This is our first run on YouTube tonight, so definitely thank you for joining us. And definitely, I'm watching on the chat line, Brett. I think we can, we got a got a few people that have joined and said hello and welcome. We'll welcome you all um, to the show. So real quick, we usually right around the 10 o'clock hour. We usually try to get a break in, and I don't know how you really want to do it this time, Brad. How you want to
I
handle
don't
the
know,
break?
man. We we got to talk about that. I think that we probably need to find a way to to kind of get off screen for a minute or so, and that's where the audio comes in, and so. And then we're still figuring out the audio part of it because we want to give good quality audio also, and so part of that is part of the break. So I don't so until we get that, man, we like a better term, we got to raw dog it, man. So got to raw dog this thing, man.
Uh, okay.
Hey,
Okay.
put a plastic bag on it and keep it moving.
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand.
One of those making things going on right there, boy. Mac time right
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
boy. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Y'all don't know nothing about that. Mac time.
All right, all right. So we'll wing it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So
so yeah,
so
we go
no,
ahead.
yeah, man. I go ahead, man. I mean, I know we want to. I think in the 10 o'clock hour, we want to go ahead and move on, and and talk about some other things. But in closing, man, do the Patriots repeat next year?
That's a good question. I think if they, it's possible. I mean, we just have to see how what kind of talent they acquire, and they know what it takes. They know what it takes to win, and they know what it takes to get to the Super Bowl. So it's possible. Um, because let's look at it like this. I didn't have the Patriots going to the Super Bowl this year,
Yeah,
this season.
I did.
I, you, I did. I seriously, I didn't have them. I had them possibly making it to the playoffs,
I
but
didn't
I didn't
want them.
really have them. I didn't have them
I didn't
going
want
all
them
the
to
way
make
to
it.
the Super Bowl.
No,
Um,
yeah, I feel. I wanted Kansas City. I thought Kansas City had a real good shot. Yeah, that was it's between Kansas City and the Patriots for me all year. And
yeah,
yeah,
I think I was on Kansas City and mm, believe it or not, probably the Saints.
your ass.
And even though I'm not a Saints fan, but the only reason why I played the Saints out because the way the season, I'm only saying the way the season was going and who was winning
Yeah,
at the time. I'm not
yeah.
saying early on. I did not predict the Saints. I think if I had to at that time, it'll have to definitely be the Falcons. Rise
I
up.
did. I did not pick the Falcons to even win the South. I know you did. I remember that. I got your picks,
I
man. I
had,
remember your picks, man. I remember your picks. I remember your picks, man. So yeah. So but yeah, man. Folks, all the Falcons fans, favor got mad with me and everything. What you doing, man? How can you not pick the Falcons? I mean, look, man. I'm talking foot. When I'm in football mode, maybe the Falcons come out, maybe they don't. But I'm talking football, so it's like sometimes the Falcons look good to me, sometimes they don't. But if I got my Falcons cap on, I'll find a way to like, okay, we got A, B, C, and D in place, so we'll have a winning season. But I never thought that we were going to be better than 8 games this year or this
yeah,
past year.
yeah,
That was just my thing. So I never thought we were going to be better than 8, maybe 9 games at the most. So I was fairly on, and everybody I got cussed out like, Ninja, you crazy. Fact gonna be 13-3, man. 14-2. What you talking about? 12-4 at the worst. 10-6 and we hurt. So I mean, fans beat. You know how it go, man. Fans gonna always think you gonna have at least 12 wins a year. Everybody gonna go. Even Cleveland calling 12 wins. So it's like at the beginning of the season. So, but I do know
yeah,
one thing, Hope. We better come out there and win at least 1-2 games during preseason, because if we can't get it done in preseason, it's gonna
yeah.
be same old.
You already know what time it is on
You
that.
already know
So
what time it
yeah,
is, man. You already
yeah,
know. You know what it is, man. So, but yeah, man. But speaking of the Falcons, man, couple Falcons won't be back. See, we got Robert Alford that won't be back.
Right.
Robert Alford and we have Matt Bryant that the team decided not to, exercise that option not to re-sign him, and that was part of his 1-year deal. Everybody likes him. I think Brooks Reed is another player that won't be back. So
Yeah. I'm
you
not
know,
really too surprised with Brooke Reed, but I'm a little surprised with Alford though. I actually thought Alford was our best cornerback, to be quite honest. I thought he was better than
yeah,
and Trufant. I thought
yeah,
he played better than Trufant.
yeah. Everybody waited for that bomb to drop on Trufant, man. I mean, we paying him too much, man, too much for what we getting from him, man. I mean, and that's God on Thomas Dimitroff again, man, overpaying players for whatever reason, and so you just hope that there are more necessary cuts to come, man. Everybody want everybody want the other shoe to drop on True, and then you want that other shoe in the hood to drop on Vic Beasley Jr. And so I think that experiment is gone, so that'll save you some money up under the cap. There may be 1 or 2 players on offense you're gonna let go. That Tevin Coleman, the running back, he's gonna be asking for too much. At least I hope he does. And so we need to move
Yeah.
on, and yeah, I don't think he's coming back either, man. So I think that he'll be gone. But I something's going on with Freeman, man. I don't think that the team has been 100% honest with the public in terms of what's going on with. But I understand. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but I'm just saying I understand why. I think they just hit a leg injury and just kept it at that. Nobody really questioned about how detailed it was. Okay, he'll be out for most of the season, yada, 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 hamstring or whatever it was or something. But nobody went into detail about really what it was, from what I can remember. But I think that it's something more serious. I think he has serious head injury. I think he has some serious concussion kind of things, something going on with his head that
Yeah.
is not right. I just don't trust it, man. I think that Free is a lot more hurt than anybody's talking about, and you ain't trying to mess the man's money up. So, yeah,
It's interesting that and I definitely agree with you with Freeman, and I think the Falcons probably going to end up drafting another running back,
or two.
or two possibly. You know, we had a chance to get Todd Gurley. I'm kind of glad.
Oh, don't
I'm
remind me.
thinking about it, but when I think about it now, considering what happened in his recently with Todd, kind of glad we maybe didn't pick him up.
Yeah,
Um,
I think with that same knee injury from the Auburn game, he got hurt in the Auburn game here with Rick. I call it Rick knee, and I think it's that same knee that's a reoccurring injury that he had at Georgia. I think it's that same knee that never really fully got full. And then when he first came to the Rams, his rookie year, they stuffed the ball in his gut about 35 times a game, man, to where he's like, man, I didn't sign up for this. I know I'm a rookie and everything, but I didn't sign up for this.
but they gave him a lot of money though.
Yeah, they did.
He got a at the end of the day, he got to play.
He did.
But it's interesting that as much as they probably wanted to play him during the playoff and even in the Super Bowl, he just wasn't 100%.
No, no, no. He you're right, man. I mean, he definitely was not 100% in the postseason period. Through most of the season, he took a nasty hit, and he never could recover from that throughout the season. He should have been sitting out for the rest of the season, but they played him anyway. So that's not good. Like you said, Falcons. But I think during his rookie, I think the Falcons had a better offensive line than the Rams when he first came in the league. That was
Yeah,
just my thought.
yeah, I would have to agree to that. Yeah, I have
And
to
then
agree
you
to
would
that.
have had Freeman possibly playing. He'd have been your third down back, and which is fine. He probably like, look, I ain't trying to play second fiddle to the Todd Gurley. I don't care who he is. So you probably would have paid that max money to him. You would have had a little bit more money to pay to Gurley, and then you can keep drafting in your third running back, your third down back or your backup running backs, which is fine. I think the Gurley is the type of running back that Matt Ryan needs. And the thing about it, I mean, Todd Gurley can carry games, and all Matt Ryan got to do is just start pick. And he makes Matt Ryan's life, because Matt Ryan is very similar to Jared Goff. They two of a kind. Other than Jared Goff moves better outside the pocket, which is another thing he didn't do.
Yeah, he's a little bit more mobile, but at the end of the day, both of them need they need weapons.
They need a lot of
they
weapons.
definitely need. Yeah, they're not gonna be the type of quarterback gonna put they can put it on their back.
Right. So yeah, they're not gonna put on their back, man. So I think that two quarterbacks of a kind, man. Two of a kind. So yeah, so with that, I think we're going to expect, a lot more cuts coming. Those are my names for cuts coming to the Falcons or releases and those sort of things. So we're going to be really busy in the offseason. I'm thinking the Falcons really have a good chance for being close to $30 million underneath the cap, which means you can go out and go shopping and you can get you some quality players in free agency, and you can get you some quality players in the draft, obviously. But I still think that I would definitely not go offensive lineman in the first round. I don't think that's something that you do. Because the reason I say that, because I don't think that there's anybody out there that's really that special on offensive line, good enough, like to what's my man's name that was the offensive lineman for Cleveland for a long time, and he just retired, man. I mean, he never missed a game. He was an offensive tackle for Cleveland Browns for many years. I forget his name, but he was. I mean, that's the kind of guy that you get first round. You don't go out there and you don't get a Jake Matthews. I don't care how much you need an offensive lineman. You don't go out there and get a Jake Matthews in the first round. You just don't. I mean, he's a serviceable guy, but everybody thought it because he was a Matthews, because of the bloodline. I call him the bloodline. I use that term loosely, but I call him the bloodline because loosely, but they call him that because of his relatives. I mean, all the Matthews were good. They can play. They got reputation, but when it came down to Jake, man, they just kind of like, it's kind of like remnants from pancake. When you're making pancakes over, and then man, I think I can squeeze out one more pancake out of this. That's kind of what Jake Matthews is in terms of bloodline. He squeezed that one out. Okay, this one's edible. I can make another one out of this. So it's 4.5, 4 3/4 pancakes instead of 5. So that's my thing. that's my whole assessment of the guy, man. So the Falcons, I think that they're going to have a lot of things. They're going to have a lot of room. They're going to have, I think you pick the best player. I mean, at 14, unless you're able to move up, and I don't think this is the kind of draft that you really need to move up, just in my opinion. I think there's going to be something there for you on defensive tackle, defensive line, some kind of way, defensive end. I think there's going to be enough talent out there to get that at 14. You go defense, man. I just think you just go and I don't even see a running back out there that's special at 14. But if you see something, get him. But I don't see a Todd Gurley or Sony Michel or a Nick Chubb like they were there a year or so ago.
Right.
I don't see those kind of players out there, man. Even though you got Holyfield and who I think Scarborough from Alabama is going to be in the draft. Those kind of guys, but
yeah,
they're not first round picks in my opinion. Those guys just aren't. So it's not. So Falcons can actually go defense, running back in the 4th round, possibly 3rd, 4th round. They can probably go running back if that. So I wouldn't go high on running back. I'd go high on defense.
Yeah.
I would definitely, if I see somebody special in the mid rounds in terms of offensive line for depth, I definitely go out there and get me one of the boys from Iowa, Nebraska, Ohio State, somewhere. With them corn-fed boys up there from the Midwest. North Dakota, South Dakota, somewhere, Washington. I go up there and get a couple of them big boys and big houses to put on the line. Or hell, I mean, if somebody's leaving out of Georgia, Alabama, I get them, or Clemson, I get them too. So I think there's enough offensive linemen that you can probably squeeze out. I think Falcons go out there and get linemen. I think they get an offensive lineman probably second, third round.
Yeah,
In my
yeah, I
opinion,
agree.
I think they go out the second, third round, get offensive lineman. A guy that's out there out of Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, somewhere, LSU, that's really good and really talented. And get them out. I mean, there's so many players in Clemson that are just so good. You just cannot just overlook them. So I see Falcons on offensive line, defense, offensive line again. Squeeze in a running back somewhere. And maybe the late rounds you work on that defensive backfield too, or your linebackers or somebody. They always do that for depth purposes. So I think that's kind of. I know it's early talking draft, but it'll be here before you know it. So it's always fun trying to just talk about that kind of stuff. So I ain't mad at it. But speaking about it, man, let's move on to the next one, man. In terms of there was the State of the Union uh, last night, and me and you were actually talking during the State of the Union in terms of watching it and thinking about it and the things that number 45 wanted to get across. So,
Yeah,
in the light of the State of the Union, in terms of the state of the country, where are we? How well are we doing? It's the physical health of the country. What's the physical health of Atlanta sports, man? So when you look at the Falcons, Hawks, Braves, Atlanta United, Bulldogs football, man, what's physical health, man? Because I mean, fans been through a lot, man. We've been close. We've been teased and teased and teased with championship glory within the past 5 years. The reason I say past 5 years, you look at the Falcons, 2016 was in a Super Bowl, 21-point lead, and you choked that away. You look at the Hawks, not too long ago, that had a 60-win team, 60-win season. 60 wins. It's
yeah,
never been done. Even with all those years with Dominique. Dominique ain't never won 60 games. So you had that and you ran up against LeBron and got swept. You got,
yeah.
so you got a lot of things. So what you think about that, Hope?
I just think right now the health of Atlanta sports. I'm gonna have to say when you look at the Hawks, for example, they're rebuilding right now. I don't really expect a whole lot from them, but the young players are playing pretty good ball at the moment. Um, so they're in a rebuilding phase, a rebuilding stage. Then you have the Falcons. I think the Falcons they they're good, but they're just trying to. It's like they're still trying to trying to get back to where they was in the Super Bowl for two years ago. So it's like they're right at they're it's like they're right there. It's just a matter of what is not getting them over. Is it the players, the personnel, or is it coaching, or is it
so,
just,
so,
or is it all the above?
well, well,
That's
well, without getting into a whole lot of detail, let's just talk about the Falcons. So, are the Falcons? Is there upside to the Falcons, or you see the futures on the decline? They're not doing the right things, or is it just kind of just they just stuck on in the matrix? They're just in the middle. They're just in the matrix, not high, not low. They just in
I
the
think
matrix.
the Falcons are stuck in the middle right now. After they
Mm-hmm.
lost that Super Bowl, they just can't, for some reason, they're stuck in the middle. So it's just a matter of what direction we're trying to go. Are we trying to continue to, the upside, continue to go up till we can get back to the Super Bowl and win it? Or are we just so stuck in the middle where we just can't get, it's like we've reached that ceiling and we can't get over the hump. It's like, okay, how sometimes, how you get in a job and you just, hey, you reach your ceiling and there's, if you want any other advancement, you probably got to get out of here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, maybe it's not so much where I'm hoping that's not the situation with the Falcons where we may have to change up personnel, management, and area. I don't because we know that's going to lead back to a rebuilding situation, and I hope that's not the case. What I'm hoping really with the Falcons is, and I talked about this before on our show, Brad, is let's start opening some competition on that offensive side. I think the defense, I think we okay, but I think we need to open up some competition on the offensive side of the ball, and I even start with the damn quarterback. But
This is true.
I
This is
mean
true.
every position. I mean, because I don't see where we got to get to a point to where the same level of intensity that we get on the defense, we need to get the same thing on the offense consistently. And I think if we can get that, I think the team can get over the hump.
And
That's that's
yeah, I agree with you, Hov. I think that I was real close to saying that they're on the decline. This is what I see. I see upside on the defensive side of the ball because I think there's some opportunity there, and they won a lot of games for us when they're healthy. We just got to work on the depth issues, but I think there's a lot of upside for the team. But for me, the offense, it looks like they're on the decline to me. Julio's getting older. Sanu's getting longer in the two. Matt Ryan's not getting any younger. He's not getting any better. Your offensive line is depleted. You don't have any depth there. Alex Mack is getting along in the two. Your running back, you got to rebuild your backfield. So it's like it's kind of on the decline because they refuse to get younger. You going out there getting free agents, Fusco, and you getting all these free agents from other teams that's long in the tooth. Yeah, they're experienced, but they're long in the tooth and not producing. Julio is not getting any younger. He's an old guy. You did get Kevin Ridley that kind of tried to balance it off a little bit with a little youthfulness at the position, but you're old. You're just an older offense, man, and they're looking older to me. So you got Austin Hooper. He's fairly young. By default, fell his way into the Pro Bowl, but I just think that the offense just got to get younger. I think you got to get younger in your backfield, your receivers, your offensive line. Damn near everybody. So you gotta you gotta get younger, and you're just not. And these guys are not producing. So with that being said, one's going up, one's on the decline. I guess you're kind of in the middle. And just like you say, Hope, it's like, look, man, it's like they got to get over that hump. Well, you can't get over that hump because one thing is you don't have enough youthfulness in terms of play, in terms of players. And then number two, I mean, you changing coaches every 4 or 5 years. And so you don't have any consistency right there. So, and your GM, I just think he's overrated. I just think that you just really need a GM that's really serious about what you have and what you're doing. So, I think they're kind of stuck in the matrix. They're gonna win some, lose some, and as long as you got number two there, you're just gonna stay in the middle. So I think the state of the Falcons is just kind of stat quo. And just like you
yeah.
said, the Hawks are rebuilding. I think that I think there's a lot of upside to the Hawks because I mean, yeah, if they stop damn winning these damn games, they got damn near
Well,
20
you know,
games and halfway through. It's like these cats is
well
only
here,
7 games out of the playoffs. What are you doing? So,
but here's the thing. Well, here's the thing. I mean, just as much you said with the Hawks, the Braves, there's some upside there.
a lot of
The
upside with the
Braves
Braves,
are,
a lot.
you know, I mean, they had a. I mean, who would have thought the Braves would have made the playoffs on the postseason last year?
Ahead of
So
schedule.
I really like I really like where the Braves are going. And of course, Atlanta United. I mean, what more can I say? The
Champs.
champs.
They the
You
champs,
know,
man. Already 2 years in
I think
existence.
as of right now, they're the team. They've set the bar.
Yes.
And what more can I say, man? I'm as a fan of Atlanta United,
Yeah.
and amen. And I, if anything else, Brad, I do feel that they have a damn good chance to repeat as champions.
They really do.
Um, even with them losing Miguel or Amaron, I mean, um, they still tough, man. As long as they got Joseph Martinez,
Yeah. I agree.
hey, it
I mean,
is
there's a
what it
lot of
is.
upside. A
Yeah.
lot of upside to that team. I agree with you, man. So Bulldogs, man. Even though there have been disappointments past couple of years with the Bulldogs, I think that there is still upside to the Bulldogs because they continue to get high caliber players out of high school. 4 or 5 star players out of high school. Kirby's got them playing. You've been to 2 straight SEC championships. This is like the 2nd straight year you've been either number 1 or number 2 in recruitment in the country. And I just think there's just so much upside. I mean, you lose one 5-star quarterback, you get another one that comes in, another high 4-star quarterback that comes in, and so your running back stable stays strong, your offensive line stays strong, which is the key to any team like Georgia. So I think that it's a lot of upside to Georgia and everybody. I think they do a great job in terms of keeping players here at home. That's been a problem with Mark Richt during his era, is just keeping players here at home. So Kirby's done a great job of keeping players here. We're gonna have a new coach. We're gonna have a new offensive coordinator, which is Coker, which is that's I'm
Do you
crossing my
think?
fingers on that.
Do you think with the Bulldogs lose? I mean, you think we're gonna get any backlash with us losing Justin Fields? Do you think that losing Justin Fields? I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I
I,
mean, but
I
what do you think about it?
I think it's happened. I think the guys that had an opportunity to come back um made their decision. I mean, I think who knows if Justin Field gets the starting position, if these guys say, hey, we got a chance to stay one more year. But with Justin Fields leaving and 1 or 2 guys, I don't think it affected Georgia that much. If you think about it, man, Georgia's a run first team, and so with a quarterback like Fields, I mean, he got to pass the ball. We wasn't passing the ball because if he's running, I mean, you really don't need him to run that much because you already got a strong running game. You need a quarterback like Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm is perfect if you think about it. Jake Fromm is actually a better quarterback for Georgia's style of offense than Justin Fields because he's a play action quarterback. Play
Right.
action quarterback, and he sells it. He ain't just a play action quarterback. Jake Fromm sells the run every time. And so that's why he works so well with this offense. And so we'll see. I'm very interested. All eyes will be on Ohio State when Mr. Fields takes the field. So all eyes will be on Justin Fields in the coming year to say, hey, is this guy as good as advertised? Is he just another mobile quarterback? Because there's going to be a lot of big stages up there in Ohio, or was Georgia just not using him right? Georgia didn't know what the hell. Maybe we didn't know what the hell we were doing, and couldn't. We got him, but we didn't know how to use him. That's probably a lot of it. That's probably had a lot to do with why, or some of what had to do with Chaney not coming back. Underutilizing players, and it's like, look, man, this kid transferred. We got him, and you couldn't use him when we put him in there. Get up out of here, man. So he goes up to Tennessee. So yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. Always excited to see the Bulldogs play, man. That's why I say there's a lot of upside. So I think overall, I think that there's, for the most part, upside for the majority of our teams. Or even with the Falcons, even though I don't think there's a lot of upside in terms of the entire team, but I think there's enough upside on the defensive side of the ball. And we'll see what happens in the offseason on the offensive side of the ball in terms of what upgrades then we can make, because it can always change after the offseason. So that's my little 2 cents on that, man. So I think Atlanta sports is doing good. And just like you said, man, I'm going to reiterate that the Super Bowl was great. You can say what you want to about, people on the outside have been very critical that this is not a sports town. But hell, we know how to do a Super Bowl. A lot of cities can't say that. Jacksonville, Florida, can't say that. They didn't really know how to put on and everybody have a good time for the Super Bowl. And so, retractable roof. Don't mean got no roof. It was a nice day. So the weather cooperated with us. New facilities. Couldn't talk Chick-fil-A in the opening up, but it was still good. so I think the cherry on top would have been if Chick-fil-A was open. But I think that part of the experience is this: the stadium was open on Saturday, and so if you wanted to experience Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A was open stadium on Saturday. So there you go. Get it in while you can. So we got about 5 minutes left in the show, man. On March 16th, man, I don't know who we got this month. We got Earl Spence and Mikey Garcia, which I'm looking forward to. So we can dig into that later on. But with boxing, I can't wait, man. I like to see that kind of stuff. So, and I think John Jones is coming up in about a month or so too. I need to look that up. So I add that to the notes for next week. See what John Jones is up to. I always like watching John fight, man. MMA.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so then I think a lot of the summer fights, most of the good fights are coming up in the summer, man. You got Bud Crawford that's gonna be fighting Amir Khan in April, so definitely want to see that, man. See all the boxers get together and get her done, man. Get her done. So yeah, all of that, man. So what else you got, Hova?
Other than hey, this first run here on YouTube has been good. And like I said, for all our viewers, this is kind of a work in progress, but we're gonna try to at least try to get the show to where we can make it probably a little bit more interactive and work out a few things on our end, to
Yeah,
have some of the things that we had when we was on Blog Talk Radio
this
that
is true.
kind of made it easy for us to actually do the
Yeah,
show.
this is true.
So just kind of want to put that out there for everyone. Um, and I don't know what. Let me real quickly. I guess we usually talk about entertainment and politics.
Yep.
What was your thought on? I know we only have a few minutes left. What was your thoughts on Stacey Abrams' speech?
That was great, man. I think she saved the whole event last night. I think that even though Trump tried to throw some nuggets out there for folk, he was well rehearsed speech, but what I mean Trump. I mean he was stumbling over words. He couldn't finish his thoughts. He was just they sing happy birthday. It's just it was just I think for after about after an hour listening to him, it was refreshing to have someone like Stacey Abrams to come behind him. There was an excellent choice by the Democrats to have her speak. She started with I knew her story already and how she grew up, but I thought it was great in case people didn't read the article about her, that she told the nation about who she is and what she's about, and that she can relate to a lot of different people. It's not just about what she looked like or where she from, who she is, who she know, but she came up about like a lot of people, and she can relate to a lot of people. She didn't have much, but like a lot of us, and I just like that there were different points that she hit. I think Trump may hit on maybe about about 8 policy issues. I think she hit on like like 30, 20 or 30. I mean, she hit on so many policy issues at the same time, and I think what was key about what she said was she's like, look, I don't want you to fail. I don't want our president to fail, but he needs to understand a couple of things to make it right. There are a couple of things you need. I don't want him to fail, but he needs to understand a couple of things here. And so I thought that it was great for her to come out there and add a spark, to the Democratic base, and also on the other side of the aisle to say, hey, I'm here. And independents that may want to sway. I think she gave some nuggets for everybody out there. Definitely to give the Democrats a listen and give herself a boost for something in some kind of position, because everybody pounded the sand for her, man. Everybody stumped the grounds for her. Oprah, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama. I mean, all the heavyweights came behind to support her, and she almost within a couple of hundred votes of being governor of Georgia, and that's saying a whole lot. So I think she's got a bright future, and she needs to go ahead and keep doing what she's doing, keep pushing forward. She definitely have my support. She want to do something serious, because I'm not, everybody that look like you ain't about you, and so there's a lot of people of color. I just put it like that's running for president and have declared for president. But you know,
you
Get
know,
over it.
you
Get
know,
over it. Get
but
over it.
no,
Vote
but
who's best.
you bring up a good point, and I think only little things I've got to add to that. I think she did a great job. There were a few things I wish she had would have said and said, made a point to where touch more on. And I get it. She had to give kind of the whole backline story about who she who she is, and but I really kind of wish she kind of maybe touched on a few other things in regards to the wall, particularly that wall talk. But um, but you're making on your last point about some other other representatives or in government that is that I agree with you about just because you may be African American, what are you really truly about?
Right.
I was listening to a show on YouTube, Tariq Nasheed, and he talked about this is Kamala Harris. Am I
Yeah.
saying her name right, Brad?
Kamala.
Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, Kamala
Mm-hmm.
Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a point, and I didn't really think about it until he actually played a clip that she was listening, saying what she was saying that basically what her favorite music
Mm-hmm.
that she liked. She liked hip hop and she liked Tribe Called Quest.
Mm-hmm.
And but she gave a shout out to Fife, as if he was still living and he's not.
He's not.
And that was just like, wait a minute, hold on.
He's
You know
been.
what I'm saying? I mean,
He's been gone.
yeah, I mean, it's been a minute, you know what I'm saying? But she made it sound like he's still relevant. I mean, like he's, still kicking it today. So just go to show you, you can't, you really have to really dig behind, you really have to go behind all the BS, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that she may be faking anything, but let's just kind of be cautious about some of these
Gotta do your home. You're right. You got to do your homework. You
just be
know.
a little cautious about what's
Yeah.
going on because
Gotta be cautious.
somebody else doing that homework and putting it in front of them and just
Yeah.
having that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Do
yeah,
do your homework because I think now I mean that glass ceiling at least for African Americans has been broken. And so, okay, now it's not just by and look, Joe Biden may run, and Joe Biden may be the guy for you, And so, just because he don't look like you, don't mean that he won't have your best interest. So that's why I say now it's about the issues. So whatever candidates that are out there, Cory Booker's out there. So find out what Cory Booker is about, and if he's about your issues, then you support Cory Booker. Kamala Harris is about your issues, which for me, it's kind of whatever for me. But if she supports your issues and you good with her, then you support her on her issues. And whoever is, I mean, it's somebody running every like every week. Somebody's declaring for presidency every week, man. Which is
I just saw on 60 Minutes the guy that runs Starbucks.
oh gosh,
He's put his name in the hat now.
oh
So
man, oh my gosh,
I don't know. But that's just the way it is now, Brett. Everybody feels like hey, why not me? And there's nothing wrong with
yep,
that. I mean, that's what America's about. Everybody
yep.
has, the land of the home of the brave, and then everybody has that. If you have an opportunity, if you want to be the president, and if you have the means and the resources, why not? Um,
And before President Obama got out of there, that was one of the things he pledged. He's like, look, not about me anymore. It's about you. And one of his last speeches was to really, promote people. It's like that. I said, look at how I started. Who would have thought I would have ever been president of the United States? I was just like you. I did this, I did that, got involved. I got involved in the community, to know the community. And he said, get involved. You don't have to be president of the United States to make a difference and to get involved. And that was one of his biggest pledges for folk to come after him to say, hey, just get involved. Maybe you become president, maybe you don't. But start by getting involved in the community, doing positive things, and let's see what happens. And so I think that, a lot of what he said, I think it sparked a lot of things and it sparked a lot of energy for people like Cory Booker. And especially when the Democratic National Convention, the way everybody got some mic time and some time in terms of who they are and what they're trying to do. And so ever since then, I know Corey was getting a real big push, and then everybody else is coming around after that. So look for a lot of names, man. But my thing is, somewhere along the way, Democrats have really got to, sit down and say, okay, we need to throw our support around this one person. Let's take them through a meat grinder. Let's go and let's put out, because you're gonna have to have somebody strong enough, to beat 45. You gotta have somebody strong. You can't be all over the place and tearing each other apart in the primaries, and you broke each other down so much in the primaries that there's nothing left when you get the general election. So we really have to, make the pool a whole lot smaller, in my opinion, because when it's so vast, that's what happened. That's what happened to the Republicans. They were everywhere. Trump comes in from the back door. And next thing you know, he had enough of the base to put him over. So, Democrats can't, if you're Democrat, you can't do the same thing. You're really going to have to be careful, do your homework, throw your support around the right person, and you just got to have a smaller pool. I mean, it's cool to go out there and at this point, it's fine to see what everybody's platform is. And I think that after a while, as you get to know people, you really have to understand the platform is okay. This person's way out there, but we really got to narrow this thing down to the three strongest people, and have the strongest one out of three to put out there. And really, I just hate that Hillary had to go out and reach, because everybody's trying to get her to get Barry, to get Sanders, to be her running mate, and so.
Yeah.
And she didn't, and so and she keeps messing up every time. And so I mean, I just think that a lot of people sat on their hands because she chose not to have Bernie Sanders as her running mate. I mean, I think Bernie would have been a shoe, and I think Bernie would have made the difference, a whole lot of difference. I mean, because a lot of the voters that she needed, Bernie had. And they tried. It was too little, too late. They tried to bring Bernie on to speak, Democratic National Convention. But too little, too late. So political scene, man. There's a lot going on, man.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot going on. But we've actually reached our time on the show.
Well, all right.
Real quickly, I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. And like I said, we definitely be coming back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. And as always, we say speak on it. Anything else, Brad, you want to?
Speak on it. Thanks for joining us. We be back. Speak on it.
All right. Peace.
Peace.